Let me end it by saying this. One angel met two persons. The angel Gabriel. My elders, please hear me. Men and brethren, hear me. Who did the angel Gabriel meet first? Between Elizabeth and Mary. Elizabeth, but not directly, but her husband. Am I correct? And what did he come with? A child. True or false? The angel also met with Mary. What did he come with? A child. True or false? Follow closely. Elizabeth and the husband, Zacharias, had been praying for what? A child. Prayers for years. They did not get until the angel came. Am I correct? So the coming of the angel was after years of what? Prayers. To answer their prayers and meet their needs. Am I correct? But on this side was Mary. Did she pray for any child? Did she ask for anything? But the angel carried himself. Carry Pekin. That she did not ask for. And say whether you like it or not, you must carry. Now, why did she get what she was not asking for? Grace. The other one, not get grace. Naomi can pray until God had mercy and favored her. For whose sake? You have not cut it. Why did God give Elizabeth a child? For the sake of Mary. So for the sake of the person who carries grace, God will visit somebody else. So that that person will become a blessing to you who carries grace. Mary did not ask. But she got what Elizabeth was asking for. So you don't need to ask for things before you get them. What others get by struggle and by prayers and by all kinds of work, you will get without struggle, without prayers, without any kind of work. Somebody shout grace. And the one when you go get go superior past the one when they get. Between John the Baptist and Jesus, who big pass? Grace brought it. One had grace, the other did not have grace. Have I experienced it? Yes. I will not forget one time when somebody just walked over to me and handed me over a car. It was a what do you call it now? No, not the BM now. This is another one again. Where's that? My Jaguar. My Jaguar. The man gave me a Jaguar. As at the time the man gave me the Jaguar, it was costing about 7.5 million. He gave it to me. And every time I entered the Jaguar and I'm driving, because the Jaguar was customized. Telephone inside, surround system. You sit down, the seat will adjust itself to your size and to your length between you and the pedals. Powerful car. It was that car I was driving when I entered into Abuja 3 hours from Benin City. I entered into Abuja also with what your BMW 7 Series. Speedometer 300. So if you are doing 200, you still have another 100 to use. Church. When I will ask somebody, how much did you buy your car? The person will say, 9 million, 10 million, 8 million. And then when I am also in my own, they go think, say, as they sweat, they get money by their own. Now so me sweat, they get money by my own. Not knowing, say, wait, what grace does is that it makes somebody else sweat for you. And after the person has sweated, he will bring what they sweated for and hand it over to you. So that you don't need to walk the walks that others walk to get what they get. Somebody shout, I hear you. Grace. Grace takes away labor from you. Grace takes away strugglings from you. Grace takes away every effort, as it were, from you. Grace beautifies you with gifts. With gifts. Makes it easy for you without you having to stress. Walk over to 7 persons and prophesy. I release grace upon you. Just say to someone, I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Let somebody tell you, I release grace upon you. 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 Come here. I release grace upon you. 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 Grace, 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 grace. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace, grace, grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace, grace. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace, 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 grace upon you. 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 I release grace, grace, grace upon you. Grace, 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 grace upon you. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace, grace upon you. Grace, grace upon you. Grace upon you. I release grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace, grace. I release grace upon you. I release grace. Grace, 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 grace upon you. Amen. Grace. In the name of Jesus. I release grace upon you. Grace upon you. Grace upon you. I release grace upon you. Grace upon you. Grace. Grace upon you. I release grace. In the name of Jesus. I release grace. 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 Shatatatata. Lelebeke Shushwa. Dava shatatatata.